is Ruel's Running Podcast, a podcast about running, health, family, play, and an NSNG lifestyle. And now, here's your host, Ruel.
Excuse me as I rock on. That's Went Away by Dorothy Lane. Dorothy Lane out of Martinez, California. That's out of the Cut and Dry album. Check them out at dorothylanemusic.com. Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome to Ruel's Running Podcast. I'm your host, Ruel Apadam. What's up, y'all? How's it going? If you are a return listener, thank you for sticking around. I know the podcast has been sort of not been chugging along as streamlined and efficient and timely for quite some time. But I guess if you're here now, then that's that opportunity for me to just sort of say that and, really appreciate the fact that, I have those 2-3 listeners still subscribe to this podcast. If you are a new listener, welcome. You are part of the first 10 subscribers of this podcast in 2020. Yeah. So, what's going on? Let's just hop right into it. It's a running podcast, right? I did not run today. Moving right along. No. I anticipate running tomorrow. Where are you going to run, Ruel? I am going to run around the track like a lunatic. It takes about maybe 3.5 laps on this particular track to get a mile. And I'm not worried about covering a certain amount of distance. I'm just worried about, or I'm concerned about time on my feet. And my effort being running at a zone 2 intensity and spending at least an hour. That's what I want. I mean, it really depends on what's going on, right? If things get busy at work, then things might cut short. So it is what it is. I am not a robot. Does not compute. So yeah, that's that. Yeah, still out of the gym that we had, my wife and I had signed up for before the whole pandemic thing. Early in the year, it was such a good deal, and I reached out to the owners and said, "Hey, I know you guys are doing semi-private stuff. Where basically you're allowing folks to come in to the facility, half capacity. That's great. My wife and I would love to come. And what's the status on the kids' lounge?" You see, they have this thing that's called the kids' lounge where, for a nominal fee, I could have the kids kind of hang out for the hour while my wife and I work out, and it's a good deal. But unfortunately, they're still not ready. Things still aren't right for them to open up their little kids' lounge, which is basically a room with a TV and a space for the kids to actually do activities like, play with little things, and maybe there's a little table so they can do a little coloring or whatever. But it's basically a space dedicated for the kids, and someone on staff would just be there hanging out with the kids, right, while their parents work out. So unfortunately, no, not available. So it's like, ugh. They do have workouts that are outdoors at parks and stuff, which makes it easy for, the kids can hang out at the park, just park themselves nearby while the parents work out. But here's the thing. I'm really not a fan of circuit training, high intensity stuff. I could do it. And maybe I'll eventually just say give up and just like, screw it, I'll do it. Because when it's in their gym, they integrate, the treadmill work, let's say I start out with body weight related stuff, and a little bit of weights. Then after like 15 minutes, boom, transition to the treadmill. And then they have us sort of go through some sort of sequence on the treadmill, which I love. Then switch off, go back to the floor, do the body weight stuff, the sort of the free weight type stuff, and then wrap it up again on a treadmill. Something like that. It's supposed to be 4 15-minute intervals. So that's what that is. So, yeah. And it's cool because, the membership is more than I've ever paid before for any sort of gym membership. But this isn't a 24-hour fitness, right? This is a place that's not as big, and they're focused, and the facility is pristine, and I know the owners, and it's a close group, and it's perfect, and I get to expense my what I pay for membership with my company, because that's one of the benefits for their sort of health / professional development budget for employees. So yeah. So I don't know. Anyways, that's the whole running topic. What's cooking? I did tri-tip today. I didn't wait for lunchtime to roll in because it can take a little bit of time, and the way I prepared it did take a lot of time. So about 10 o'clock in the morning, I cooked the tri-tip. I didn't do the roast. I cut it up into steaks, and I cooked the steaks. I didn't just cook steaks on a pan. I cooked them on a cast iron pan. I didn't just cook them on a cast iron pan on a stove. I cooked them on a cast iron pan on a gas grill. That's right. So not only do I have sort of the effect of a nice hot cast iron pan, but I also have the effect of an oven, because I get to put the hood over the on, and it's awesome. And plus, I don't get to smoke out the whole kitchen with my burning steak, so that's that. That's what's cooking. Yeah, salt, pepper, grass-fed butter, good to go. Now, I'll be back. I'm about to park. I gotta run into the store and find something for the bake shop. I'll be back. All right, I'm back. All right, full disclosure. What did I buy at the store this late evening? I bought vegetable shortening. Yes, NSNG, folks, that's garbage. And that's okay. I'm not going to eat it. Whew. Second thing I bought is Guittard's milk chocolate morsels. And don't worry, I'm not going to eat it. So, let me explain. Because I really don't have to, but I will for the sake of this recording. My wife and I are making a birthday cake for a 1-year-old first birthday, for a friend of the family who has, their son's turning 1. And we are making a small cake for the young boy. And it's going to be one of those smash cakes, right? It isn't going to be the cake that's going to be shared with everybody else. It's just going to be the cake that it's primarily his, and he gets to, sing happy birthday, get sung happy birthday to it. He gets to blow out the candles, and then he gets to just annihilate it on his own. So yeah, and so right now it's more like arts and crafts, because there's nothing about it that's appealing to me, right? We'll make a cake. My wife bakes the cake. And I'm like, okay, there's a cake. It's just a cake. It's just a medium, right? Okay, there's the buttercream. Okay, we'll put on the buttercream, and we'll layer the cakes, and then we'll carve it out. We'll shape it. Well, there it is, right? Not appealing. I'm not interested. So now we're at the point, and Lonnie will be able to help me out with this since he's got the experience. I've already attempted to put a layer of fondant on the cake, and it's not a big cake. It's like 4 inches high, and it's about 6 inches in diameter, right? So I'm rolling out about an 1/8 inch of fondant, about, what is it, 4 plus 4 plus 6, right? Right? At least 14 inches in diameter, right? So I can cover all angles. So I'm there, and I've got the fondant rolled out, and it's dusted in cornstarch. It's nice and workable. It isn't tacky in any shape, way, or form. And I've got it rolled on my rolling pin, and now I'm draping it over the cake, right? And now the task of sort of flattening out the top and flattening off the sides, and sort of that whole process. And I'm flattening out the sides, and I'm working my way around the cake, and then I get to that point where it's like, now I'm going to end up with seemingly a crease. How do I deal with the situation? I guess I gotta kind of pull a little bit and allow things to sort of uncrease. And while I'm so focused on that point, guess what? Somewhere else on the sides, I've managed to overstretch and create a tear. And for folks who are used to, who have experience making or have watched cake making with fondant icing, once you tear that icing, if you can't cover that up with any sort of ornate stuff, right? And you weren't planning to have any ornate stuff to begin with on the sides, then that's basically a screw up. So I saved what I can off of the excess fondant, and I ended up trashing the fondant that was draped over the buttercream, which was laid over the cake. And so where am I going with this? Well, I don't know. I read somewhere on a blog that should your fondant start to show sort of signs of cracking, right? And you can't hide the cracking you can't recover it. Then you could apply some shortening to sort of fill in those gaps as a sort of makeup. So that's the reason why I got the shortening. Yes. Now, I'm on my way back. It's getting pretty late at night, and we really want to get this thing iced. Got so close, and I got to reset. Yes, this is a running podcast, not a baking podcast, but here we are. So, the hell with the shortening. What's next? I picked up some milk chocolate chips, right? What's the deal with that? Well, during this whole pandemic, work from home, kids at home, blah blah blah, and I documented how early on, like since March and April, I was just constantly going to the grocery store. And I know it's not going to seem that way, but because I'm constantly going to the store anyways every time I record a session. But man, I got into this groove of making milk chocolate covered strawberries for my wife, and she really likes them, and so does my daughter. So, we have we have a fresh batch of strawberries at home, but oh my word, we have no chocolate. So that's why I picked up the chocolate chips. She likes the milk chocolate, and so I give her the milk chocolate. None of it does anything for me. I don't care to have any of it. It's not for me, but I don't crave any of that stuff. So there you go. That's what's cooking, and that's what's going on with running and family and all that stuff. I'm on my way home, guys. I'm on my way home, and today, I think today's Tuesday. Yeah, it's Tuesday, but it feels like a long week already. Burp. Because the team that I work with at work, they have spent at least a couple of weeks banging out a bunch of code, a bunch of changes, for things that I need to manage getting tested. And I finally got around to kicking that off today and just getting everything prepared and sent off to the testing sort of workforce that I have access to. Man, it's just, I don't want to slip. I don't want to not provide enough information because we're running on a schedule. I want them to have everything they need, kick off the testing, and then first thing early tomorrow morning, get all the results, and the team can take action on what needs to be acted on and what things need to be prioritized or pushed away. So, to me, it's a big deal because, there's a whole team of guys that had busted their butt, right, to get things ready. And I'm the guy that, I don't want to be that guy that sort of, oh, I forgot to do this and that. And they're like, I let them down. That's the way I see it. So I don't want to be Mr. Letdown. Mr. Letdown will let down. So I'm home. That was a wonderful 16 minutes, guys. I really appreciate it. I'll catch you on the next segment. Bye. Do you need a website? If you're an individual, a consultant, a group, or small business and need a site, or maybe you have an existing site, I can help. How about graphic design? Do you need a design for a t-shirt, logo, product, business cards? Maybe you need help with designing and developing a brand. I'm not an expert, but I do have the tools and the techniques to get the job done. How about a podcast? Yep, like this thing. This thing's a silly little show. Are you looking to set up a podcast of your own? Are you looking to reach an audience? Promote your business via podcast? Well, Abadam Studios. That's right, Abadam Studios. Yeah, so that's Abadam Studios. AbadamStudios.com, AbadamStudios.com. Check it out. Hey everybody, I'm back. So, what was it? Was it a Thursday? Went back on the track, and I ran, and I decided to just skip the whole Zone 2 workout and just sort of get some speed work in place. Felt good. At the end of the day, it was just 3 miles around the loop. Started out nice and easy. Literally just walked the loop, and then did an easy jog, and then it got to a point where it's like, okay, now I'm just going to run at a nice clip the straights and then jog the curves of the track. So just did that and tried to sustain that rhythm for as long as I could. Then eventually it became I just had to walk the curves and run the straights. So yeah, knew that I was going to tap into glycogen, and I was going to feel it later. I was going to be tired later. But after that session at the park, got home and then went for about a 30-minute bike ride with my son. And yeah, it was a bit of an effort as well, because we rode around the neighborhood where there are hills, up hills and downhill type stuff. And yeah, was able to kind of lead that effort my son's still trying to build his endurance and build his strength. But, he definitely is, and it's nice. So yeah, that particular day was cool. There was a track workout and some bike effort. Nice. So that was Thursday. I can't remember if we did anything on Friday. Probably not. But Saturday, the family, we loaded up all the bikes, not just the kids, but even my bike and my wife's bike. Loaded it onto the bike rack attached to the new hitch that I attached to the van. And we did a day trip. Maybe 2.5 hours out. Went to a place called, if I remember correctly, Calaveras Big Trees State Park. I think it was a state park, or maybe it's a national park. I don't know. It's in Calaveras County, and as it's named, there are big trees. Didn't know what to expect. New thing, always going to a new thing, sort of like, kind of like, okay, I don't know what to expect. I'm a little bit kind of nervous about what's going to happen. Are we going to be able to get everybody sort of situated and comfortable without any hassle? But at the same time, there's a little sense of adventure. And yeah, sure enough, we got there, and there were no bikes allowed on the trail. Just bikes allowed on there's a particular track or trail for mountain bikers, but got a 6.5-year-old on a bike that was originally purchased with training wheels and a basket. Right? That's not going to be good for a trail bike sort of course. And the other kids too, they're not expecting, nor is my wife, so that wasn't going to happen. But we were able to take the bikes on paved path sections, which is essentially, we were able to bike around the campgrounds, which was cool. We got to see, what campers were doing and how they were situated, and it sort of prepared us mentally for when we decide to camp, in a place like that. So, I think we did enough bike riding for the kids, at least. It's sort of like the weakest link in the chain, right? You're only as good as your weakest link. And in this case, we only have endurance for a family bike ride for as much as our least endurance person is ready for, which means, once our 6.5-year-old was sort of like done, we were all done. So she's so lucky. And but despite that, I had to still push her, because we secured the bikes back on the rack and everything, and then hit the hiking trail around the park to see what they had to offer. And what they had to offer were lots of trees, and they had marked about 25 trees for as points of interest along the trail. Massive trees. And there was one fallen tree, and it's been around for like ages, and it's basically a tunnel, and my wife and kids were able to kind of walk through it, come out the other end. It's kind of neat. And yeah, social distancing still applies. If you can't maintain 6 feet at least, wearing masks was needed to happen. So the hike wasn't an issue, except for my daughter, who was like, "Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I want to go back to the van, or I want to go back to whatever." Right? Like, well, we drove all the way here, and we are not going to drive all the way here just for you to sit in a van. You got no choice. You're going to walk through this trail with the family. She had some moments where her older brother carried her on her back, and a few minutes where I carried her on my back, but she quickly gave up on that, because my back was all sweaty, I had been carrying a backpack for the family, so that sort of kept a lot of moisture, on my back. And but yeah, it was neat. The whole experience was neat. The trip was neat. We got to, on the way back, we stopped off at a familiar town, got burgers for the family, and so now we're thinking, what are the other opportunities to do this type of thing with the family? What other places we could stand to visit? It would be nice. So yeah. Okay. Oh, let me see. Picking up takeout for the family. Awesome. All right. So yeah, that's the deal. And felt good. Got home. We got to the park just before 5, and we got home a little after, just about 10. So offload, a lot of dusty shoes, but yeah, good times. Hey everybody, I'm back. Yeah, it's like what is it? It's the 16th, so it's 2 weeks from the last segment. What do you think of that? Oh my god. It's 9:49 in the PM. Just got back from a drive down south. The family had taken about a week out. Had a really good time. And it's been 100 plus degrees here. Not just where I live, but even where we were down south. Where did I say south? South. South. Went down south. And yeah, so I'm on the road now because I wanna see if I can catch one of the local stores before they close. I may be out of luck, but if I can grab a portable fan, if anything's available, I'd love to grab one of those because it's just too dang hot. Too dang hot. Just like you, loyal listener, you're too dang hot. So where did we go? Well, for last week, my son had a birthday, so we had planned to have him enjoy something for his birthday. Sounds good, right? And this was before his school or the school district decided when they were actually going to have school start. So it's like, you know what? We're not going to just let his birthday blow by. And we can't wait for the district to figure out what the heck they want to do with the school year. So it's like, we'll just plan it, and whatever the heck happens, we'll roll with it. Because we weren't planning to have the kids enter a classroom because nobody knew what the heck was going to happen. So it's like, we're opting to go online, and we knew that was going to be an option in one shape or form. And from the information that we had received at the time, they weren't going to force anybody to go into a classroom. So there you go. So it's like, if school falls on a day where we're out on this trip, then we'll find a way to connect and make it happen. But we knew that it wasn't going to be smooth sailing because the whole dang community was kind of confused. Teachers were confused, administrators were confused, students were confused, parents were shitting in their pants. Yeah, and it was a really stinky mess. But we had already gone through a bunch of the poop at the end of last year, and we were still having the kids do online instruction through the summer just so they would not be bored out of their mind, right? So, we were already all mixed up in a whole online learning sort of mess. It's just the way it was going to be. So, we're on this trip. Trip is awesome. Trip is good. But the one question that I have is is this store that I'm rolling up on even open? That's what I want to know. Let's go find out. Let's go find out. You guys gotta come with me. Do. Store hours. What are your store hours? Store hours. Are you guys closed? Just about to be. Can I make it just for one thing? Yeah. I'll put on my mask. Woohoo! So yeah, there it was. You guys caught that? Walked up to the store. They're like, "Yeah, we're gonna shut down in 5 minutes." I'm like, "Cool." And security's like, "Is anybody else in the store?" Just me. Did I take too long? Probably did, but hopefully I'll cut that out when I cut this episode. You appreciate this, right, Ted? This episode. It's like, oh gosh, Roll is making us wait for minutes and minutes as he shops for a pair of electric fans. Yeah, and you don't see it, you can't hear it in the recording either. You can't hear it. You can't see me or hear me shopping. But I picked up 2 fans. We've got one of these. They're portable. They're from, who the heck are they from? They're from Honeywell. And the one that we have at home, we keep in one of the kids' bedrooms because it's just, as the afternoon hits, his room starts to get kind of toasty. So by bedtime, it might not be the most comfortable temperature in his room. So for some reason, like the house gets hot. We'll open up his window enough, and we'll prop the fan so that it sucks the cooler evening air and pushes it into the room. And we let it run while he's in bed at night. So, in the middle of the night, he starts to freeze, and it's a good level of freezing because at least he's asleep freezing. Then if I get up late at night or really early in the morning, I'll shut that thing off. He won't need it, but it at least gets him comfy. So now we're back from this road trip, or from this weekend, or from this past week, and the house, we didn't leave Lonnie. We didn't leave the fan on, because it's just, I can't stand thinking of the fan running a whole week when we're not home. But what I did do is I did leave some cracks in the windows in the upstairs bedrooms where, if you wanted to break into the house, you'd have to get a ladder, right? So at least there was some level of circulation. There wasn't just trapped dead air in the house. And, but man, the thermostat is reading 80-something degrees, and that's just too warm for the family to feel comfortable to fall asleep. So we got home. I opened up the windows even more. All of the upstairs bedrooms, windows are open, and my son's fan is on. I just picked up a couple more of those same fans. For the most part, the family's going to be sleeping downstairs where it's cooler. But, I'm going to be able to use some of these fans to move more air around. And the thing is, while we were away, the whole state's been dealing with heat. But in our area, apparently there'd been like some massive, thunderstorms. The type that last all night long. Apparently, we were on our drive back, and my wife was on the phone with one of our friends. We were talking mountain bike stuff, and then we got to talking about the recent weather and stuff, and it was really bad because they've got a pair of older dogs, and when the thunders hit, it drives them nuts. So trying to manage your dogs through a thunderstorm that lasted several hours is just crazy. We weren't around to experience it, but and I read somewhere on social media that, lightning had caused some fire in some spots. I don't know where, if that's true, but I was surprised to see that all the cities in our area, they were tagged, on the weather app on the iPhone, they were tagged with poor air quality. I'm like, what the heck happened? And it's high humidity, so it's like we got some rain. I don't know how much rain, but definitely tons of heat, and it's like, you can feel it, and it smells off outside. The whole humidity. It's like everything's dying outside. Yeah, so I walk into this CVS and it's nice and cool. It's like, oh my God, it's paradise in here. Paradise CVS. So I'm going to deliver some electric fans at home. And no, that's not all I bought. I bought a bottle of booze to celebrate the fact that I drove everybody home and relax. But yeah, I didn't get to talk about what we did on the trip, but I'll talk about that in a bit. All right, I'm back. So a little bit about the trip. Won't want to bore you, but we rented an Airbnb around Lake Arrowhead, up in the San Bernardino Mountains, and the Airbnb was basically a cabin, made in like the 1900s. So it was like if you were to live with the Seven Dwarfs, this was probably where they lived. there was enough for Seven Dwarfs to live comfortably. And but that was sort of where we wrapped up the trip. We started the trip somewhere in Carlsbad, and we spent a few days there. We were there earlier in the year. They've got this nice big multi-pool, multi-hot tub. They call it a cove, so a lot of room to social distance and kind of keep your space. It was neat. While we were down south in Carlsbad, we did spend some time going to San Diego to visit what they call the waterfront. So somewhere downtown, around the civic buildings, there is a park that used to be, I believe, 2 structures, maybe even a parking garage, but they had redone it some time ago so that amidst the all of the civic buildings, but there's a view of the ocean, I guess, and so you see some tall structures which are government buildings, and then on the other side you see ships, sort of docked, and it's the Embarcadero. So you've got this big sort of section dedicated for the park. You've got like a garden area. You've got a big old field. People were playing, like hitting baseballs and stuff, and a lot of water play. So it was really fun. Really fun. So back from the trip, and it kicks off. We are now the first full week of school, remote learning, here in my neck of the woods, and it's just bizarre coming back from the trip, heading back up north, and it's triple digits. It's like, whoa, what happened? Like we left out of town for a week, and then essentially home home and all of the rest of Northern California is just is like hot. Even the coast, along Ocean Beach in San Francisco, typically there's a big it's a big variance in temperature from where we are on the east, sort of inland, versus the coast at San Francisco, and that difference was very narrow at some point. People would try to escape the heat around where we're at, head over towards the beach, and realize that, God, it's still hot. And it's just hot, cranking, man. It's just weird. But yeah, first full week of school, and we're not able to do what we were doing during the summer, where let's just go to the park and do everything at the park. Just connect remotely and enjoy the outdoors, get some fresh air, and if I have some time, I'll run a few laps around the track. Not possible right now. It's just not. No one's going to have any enjoyable time outdoors because it's so hot. Not to mention the air quality since we got back. I mean, when we were on our way back, there was reports of just really bad air quality in our area. I'm like, what? So apparently, the high heat. Plus there was this massive thunderstorm that lasted for hours, which I probably previously mentioned. And so there was I read a report that because of lightning strikes, it had caused some fire in some spots. So I think what's happening is this unusual high heat, and some of the fires that were somewhere, I don't know exactly where, our little pocket, we live in this valley, our little pocket just held on to a lot of that air pollution from the smoke, and we're still sitting in it. We're sitting in it this week, so it's not fun. Even if you could stand the heat, the air quality is, it smells like someone's burning something. Something's burning. We have a friend who wakes up takes a look at her car, and there's some ash on top of her car. It has a black car. So anyways, yeah, so that's a little bit about health. Bad air, tied to health. Don't breathe bad air. It's not good for your health. A little bit about exercise. I'm not getting it because it's really hot right now, and I can't go running like I want to. A little bit about food. I haven't been grilling anything lately because I'm out of propane. Even if it is bad air quality and it's really hot, I'd still love to be grilling something. So it's been takeout. What else? As far as family, everyone's at home still. Kids are doing the remote learning stuff. My wife and I still working our job and trying to balance it all. It's really tough, and it's so tough that one of my kids' teachers, first grade teacher, she's online, she's conducting class. Meanwhile, she's a single mom, has kids of her own, and they're in middle school, and they're having to go through the whole online learning experience too. So it's really, really weird. And I know, I can tell for her, she would really wish that, like a lot of us, we would really wish that there would be a level of confidence and safety, just getting things back to where everybody's sort of face to face, and it would just be less of a burden on people's lives. But I don't know when that's ever going to happen. I don't know when that's going to happen at all. A lot of time has been spent with the school district getting everything online, and everyone's doing their best, from families to educators to the admin personnel who's, they've got to prepare all of the, let me say this, we're very lucky in the school district we're in because there's been a lot of generosity from families to fund the schools in such a way that there can be supplies and devices and things. So So the school district is in a position to loan out Chromebooks and even Wi-Fi hotspots to students who don't have it, who don't have internet or don't have a device. So, there's a lot of that coordination and preparation and logistics, sort of organizing all of these devices and getting them ready for students who need them and delivered, and doing all of the IT sort of support around getting the connectivity they need and other things. We're a family who's benefiting from that. And yeah, we have some devices, and yeah, we have a personal computer and things of that nature. But with 3 kids, didn't want them to sort of battle for who has access to what device. So it's like, okay, it's there for the students, for the kids, the learners, whatever you want to call them. So, we had put in our request for the Chromebooks. So each of the 3 kids can actually sit in their own little workspace. That's the other thing. When everything was decided on as far as remote learning for the kids, we made steps through the summer to basically have dedicated workspace for the kids. Like the boys, they each have a table in their room now where they didn't. And we cleared things out, we organized things so that they basically have an awesome workspace, a desk, if you will. And so that they can do their online learning. And then our daughter, our youngest, she has her own little desk as well in a place where we in what we call the TV room, right? So my wife and I can be there, and it's interesting, man. It's interesting. Like, the oldest one's in middle school, so he sort of self-navigates. He's good. Then the other 2, they need to be sort of monitored and guided and things right now, especially since it's the beginning of it all. So what's happening is my wife and I will tag team. My wife will do one child, I'll do the other. And then sometimes my wife's in a closed door meeting, so I have to watch both kids, that the 2 younger ones. And the way that works is, like, I'll be with the youngest one physically, and then I have what we call a floater camera. I have that situated in the other kid's room, so I could monitor him remotely, because they're not going to be doing their online classes in the same spot, because it's just going to be too much conflict and noise and things. So they're separated, but at least I could keep tabs on one from another room and be physically with another. So it's interesting, man. It's really interesting. And as of this recording, it's day 3, right? Day 3 of the full week. It's a Wednesday, and yeah, it's gotten to a point where, I mean, for now, anyways, guys, I just got cut off. Got a phone call, and it was Lionel Richie on the other end saying hello. Yeah, anyways, yeah, stuff's crazy, but it's better for things to be crazy than to be dead. And I ain't dead yet. Knock on wood. I'll leave it as that. How's that as a great way to end this episode? What do you think, Ted? Calling out Ted. Sorry, Ted. All right. I'll get this episode out as soon as I can get everything else out. Thanks for listening. Thanks for allowing me to catch up. And I'll catch you when I catch you. Hug your friends, hug your family. Wear your masks. Use hand sanitizer. Keep your distance. You don't want to be responsible for somebody being responsible for somebody being responsible for somebody getting sick, getting injured, being dead. If you don't get dead, then you may just get injured. maybe you'll just get sick and then not be able to fully recover for the rest of your life. I know, it's a scamdemic. This whole thing, it's a scam. It's a scam as long as nothing happens to you or the people that you are concerned about. Then it stops being a scam when people that you know, people you care about, or yourself is affected and unscammed. So yeah, it's whatever you want it to be. And all I want from you and you and you, won't you be my neighbor?
I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you. So let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine?
Oh, please. You can shut us off now. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Ruel's Running Podcast with Ruel. If you like what you just heard, share it with your friends and your enemies. Also, be sure to check out the site over at ruelsrunning.com. This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production. Join us next time for another silly show of Ruel's Running Podcast.